What's going on, YouTube and cryptocurrency family? My name is Harry, and I'm the Crypto Vet. Thank you for tuning back in. A little bit of green in the markets today, maybe a little bit of hope. So today we're going to go over a little bit of my Bitcoin theory, Ethereum, as well as XRP, and where the market stands today as a whole, and whether or not you should continue to be bearish. Is this the end, or should we potentially start looking at this as a very, very good buying opportunity to make some absolutely crazy gains? So if you like that, if you like the content, please hit the like, hit the subscribe. I really appreciate it. Over 2,500 subs on YouTube, almost 1,000 on Twitter. Thank you guys. I hope the content I'm bringing is actually helpful and you guys are actually learning something. So if you haven't already, again, follow me on Twitter. Links for Twitch, Discord will all be down below. But let's go ahead and get started here. If we head over to CoinMarketCap, we can see that our current market cap for cryptocurrency is $1.6 trillion, currently going up, which is a good thing. Bitcoin dominance is decreasing at the moment, but this is most likely due to the alts actually gaining more money back after such a severe, bloodbath of a drop that they were coming back. So even as Bitcoin's coming up, there's more money going to them than Bitcoin, causing the Bitcoin dominance to go down. So we see a green across the boards here, but it's just slightly positive. If we go to the largest gainers, we can see things like the Graph, XRP, Kusama, SushiSwap are all up over 10%. Biggest losers today, Helium, Nexo, Terra Luna, a couple other ones here, but right now we just still have to see what happens with Bitcoin. So if we look at fear and greed index for crypto, we can see that we are extremely fearful at the moment, all the way down to 18. And if we look at the whole history of the crypto fear and greed, this is back during the Corona dump and back in 2017, right after the big sell-off from the 20,000 in Bitcoin. So right here, we are at points of the bottom. Like, this is the bottom. So somewhere in where we are at now, close, is where we're most likely going to bounce and head to the upside. So if we head over here to Bitcoin dominance, we can see Bitcoin dominance is dropping currently right here. However, our total market cap is increasing now. If we go over to Bitcoin, we can see that we have a bearish cross of a lot of our moving averages. We have the 20 daily exponential moving average at the top, the 20 weekly in blue, and this is the 200-day simple moving average. Our daily is now potentially crossing the 200, which if we look at the past, even in 2013, where we're having a very similar structure, we're halfway through, we have a big correction. We didn't even see these moving averages cross like this. We saw them get very, very close. But looking at where we're at right now, they have already crossed. So this is pretty bearish. But if we go to the MACD on the daily, we can see that we are very, very oversold. Similarly here on the RSI, we're getting close to getting oversold again. This is signifying that we could have a move to the upside, which will potentially either could solidify the rally and we go much higher prices, or continue in a consolidation pattern. So if we look at just the 1 day here, we've potentially having a buy, we're at the bottom. If we move to a 2-day, we can see we're getting a cross again. We've already printed a buy on the 2-day because we were so far down on the RSI and MACD and everything. And this also extends to the 3-day, where after I believe another, 2.5 days, we will have this one confirmed and printed. So we can see here we're getting really, really close to a bottom, which could be we either bounce up and have a little relief rally and get rejected on our moving averages and come back down to set our final low, or we could potentially just trade sideways somewhere within this pattern before we break out. So, we just collapsed from this bearish pattern, our top at 65K. We've hit our targets down here right at around 34,000. So now we're trying to figure out what we're doing. There's a lot of indecision in the market right now. So as we kind of come up, we're most likely going to have some little sell-offs as we drop down. Some people are thinking it's the bottom, it's going to get bought up. But personally, again, I'm just a doctor/idiot. This is not financial advice. I personally think that this is the bottom because of all the events adding up together. So what that means, though, is it doesn't mean that tomorrow we're going to be going up and never see these prices again. I just think that we will most likely trade sideways, consolidate between certain prices here, and we'll go over that with the Wyckoff accumulation in just a second. But I do think that we're just going to bounce around sideways, and for the next month or so, this time we'll build up a support level around this $30,000 area that we can build up for one last rally before the end of the year. And this would still go along with this, like 2013, still kind of blended with 2017, meshed together, doing its own thing. But if we look right here, it wasn't until October. And so these last 2 months here is where we saw that last big pump in 2013. So what we're hoping to see is that we'll maybe bounce up to here around 42,000, potentially go up to retest this downwards resistance line here and potentially go up, or we could fall all the way down to 20,000, which would this theory would be retesting the previous all-time high, and then at that point we could potentially bounce back up. But if we do bounce back up, we need to not fall below 20K. If we do fall below 20K, we'll break in every structure that Bitcoin's ever had, because will have fallen below the previous all-time high, which has not happened yet. So anything is possible. These markets are absolutely crazy. One tweet, one new event could absolutely change how everything goes from here. So I'm just keeping an eye on this. I personally think it's the bottom. We're just going to have like a mini alt season here for like the next month or so. Then we'll start consolidating sideways on everything. September-ish, everything will take off again starting in October, and we'll finish out the end of the year. So that's my personal thoughts, but anything can change with how the government is taking care of stuff at the moment. If we zoom in onto the 4-hour, we can see this little constricting, potentially bear flag coming out of a drop that we had previously. But if we did take like a little measured move of these here, you can see that this puts us at prices right here. This was a key support resistance area right where this target is at the moment. So we're just going to have to wait and see. If we do get above this, it's highly likely that we could trade higher. If we get below, very likely that we will trade lower. Looking at this same price action just now with a Wyckoff accumulation type structure on it, you can see that this was our preliminary support. When we finally fell through that, we had our selling climax. This was our automatic rally, which goes all the way up to our preliminary support, doesn't quite get above it. Then we have our secondary test of phase A. We kind of bounce up, and so these two lines here are key support areas. These two are key resistance areas for this Wyckoff accumulation event. So once we entered into phase B, we had our secondary test of these supports. We didn't quite make it up to this resistance. We had the secondary test of phase B, bouncing around in between here. So we could be at the end of phase B. This is the last test for C with the spring before we come on up and start to show signs of strength and start setting our last points of support before a break to the upside. This is very possible that this is the end of the accumulation phase, only because this is the end of our pattern, right? So if our pattern breaks out to here, we get above our moving averages, we show signs of strength, get into this area, we could potentially come out of this very quickly, and this is accumulation very tight within a week, or we could continue bouncing into this areas for the next week or two, finally come down and hit these lower areas, 31,000. That's actually phase C, and then we start to build back up over the next couple weeks into phase D and so on, right? So the only reason this kind of fits right now is because it's fitting within a pattern, and we started with the drop. We had an adequate accumulation with tests of support. We had our resistances showing that we are not quite ready, but then when we drop down, it's all forming into a pattern, and then the breakout would be somewhere in this area between now and the end of next week or end of this week. So just something to keep an eye on. This is just a simulation, this Elliott wave, just to show you something similar to what you would see on a Wyckoff accumulation chart. So just something to keep an eye on. If we head over quickly to Ethereum, we can see that Ethereum is within similar patterns that Bitcoin is. The only nice thing about it is that Ethereum here is potentially going to get back into the ascending channel that it was at before. However, this little $2,700 area is showing to be very, very strong resistance for Ethereum here. And if we kind of zoom back to see where it was previously, we can see how it was strong resistance here, and it was strong resistance here before it broke through to start all of this. And then looking back, we can see how as it's going down, we're getting more and more selling pressure. So again, just like with Bitcoin, we're hoping to see a break below this support, a break above this resistance, and then we could start seeing further price action all the way up to potentially 4,000 break even. And, you know, it wouldn't surprise me to go back up this high because now we oscillated so far out, oscillated back, you know, it's like a rope pulling it back up to at least somewhere in the $3,000 range for sure. So we'll keep an eye on Ethereum. If we look at it on Bybit with a different perspective of this broadening megaphone here, we can see that we're kind of doing maybe a really big, nice W pattern, which if you saw here, but this was coming to a top. So usually the W pattern is more likely to break to the upside if it's coming out of a drop, right? And then you see the same, like this would be more like an M pattern coming off of a rally. So I actually would have thought this had been more likely to break down, but with the key supports, moving averages being in a bull run, you know, this turned actually to break to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on Ethereum to see if we can, you know, we could have another DeFi boom here coming up with Bitcoin trading sideways, but you know, Ethereum and all these other altcoins finally recovering, money could start to flow back in, thus Ethereum actually pumps up versus Bitcoin. So we'll keep an eye. If we head over to XRP, we can see on the weekly here, we did something pretty cool. We came up, had all this nice price action up to $2 almost. Then we had our big drop, but this big drop came back and retested this previous line of support that we had the end of last year and earlier this year. You can see that the 62 to 63 cent range was a very, very key area that we needed to, 65 cent range was a key area that we couldn't get above. And when we broke above it, we did all of this. Now we came back, retested it, which was also at our 200-day simple moving average. We got back above our 20 weekly, and now we have confirmed support above it on the weekly chart, and now we're fighting back up to get above the 20 daily. So it's looking pretty bullish for XRP. We had good news in the lawsuit where the motion to strike was denied, or the discovery, whatever it was for the SEC, they're not allowed to fucking do it. So they're going to have to come up with something new. So this is good news for Ripple as well as XRP because most people integrate them both together, regardless of their understanding of settlement and payments, how they're different, and how Ripple, the company, is trying to utilize XRP as a potential form for improving efficiency on the settlement side. So if you do ever have any questions on that, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to explain it further. But potentially good news here. If we do have another little alt season with Bitcoin dominance dropping again, we could see XRP pump to much higher prices. If we look at it on the daily, that same little nice W pattern is forming just like we had with Ethereum. But the nice thing is we're above our 236 on Fib extension from, and this is all of XRP, we're above the 20 weekly. But something interesting is our initial downtrend that we were tracking, where if you pretend that everything from this point over isn't there, we were in this nice symmetrical triangle, and this was a downtrending resistance. Well, if you can see now, we're actually on that right here. So if we were to potentially break to the upside above this, you can see that this might be like a little reverse head and shoulders, but the real idea of it is that we overextended a certain amount. So if we take a measured move of breaking out somewhere in here, this brings us right back up to our previous trend line, retesting somewhere in the $1.50 range. So, you know, keep an eye on XRP. If things start to continue going really bullish green, we could see a nice pump up real fast for XRP, another 50 cents here. So what is that? Another 55, 56%. So, definitely just keep an eye on it. I'm accumulating. It's hard for me to tell you guys to buy or sell, especially with lots of people in the markets right now. Big influencers saying that they're selling off. You have to remember that their sell-offs are due to their own current strategies. If they bought when I bought a year ago, it doesn't matter if they sell right now because they're in great profits, right? So they're hedging themselves against further losses, right? Well, if there was a bigger drop, if they take profits now, they're hedging themselves against losing way, way, way more money and potentially getting an opportunity to buy back in at lower prices. So, when I see a lot of people start to do this, it's not because they are idiots or giving up on crypto. It's only because they now are seeing, well, if it does go lower, I should probably have something off to the side, right? That's their strategy. So you have to remember, what is your strategy? If you bought in at 60,000 and you're selling now at 35,000, are you really making any, is that really the best decision, or should you just wait it out? Well, that completely depends on you. I didn't actually sell anything here because I took profits too early. I took way too much profits on a lot of my stuff in the past couple weeks, and I definitely missed the top, but I was there. So now I just got to sit back and wait for recovery, and I didn't lose very much money either. I definitely lost a lot, but not as much as others. So remember the strategy in this, your whole goal is, if you're going to be waiting this out for the long term, don't look at price now. If you are trying to make money quick, you should definitely be buying when it's red because it'll bounce back up. Even if Bitcoin has a little bitty bounce up to, say, 42,000, which is where we really need to get above. If we get up there, that's a 10% move and change on your investment. So, but that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please like if you do. Have any remarks or advice for me as far as how to make these videos better, just leave them down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one.